You are listening to The Great Game, a Hunt to the Reckoning actual play by Hallowed Haven Studios.
Oh, it is me. I'm Clara Allison, and I will be playing Aelin, the medium.
I am Freya. I'll be playing Verena Vale, aka Raven, the sharpshooter.
Hi, I'm Termite, and I'll be playing Echo, the thief.
And I'm Overthinker. I will be your storyteller this evening. Welcome, players.
Hello.
Hello?
We descend into London, a city of vibrant contrast. Ancient stone meets modern glass, ambition clashes with establishment, and the most powerful empire in the history of the world holds court in the hallowed halls of Buckingham Palace. The year is 1890. Heinrich Hertz's experiment has proven the existence of electromagnetic waves, and Nikola Tesla has begun researching their uses, while Guglielmo Marconi, names are fun, received a patent for wireless telegraphy. Benjamin Harrison, a Union Army veteran and descendant of the Founding Fathers, just beat out Grover Cleveland to become the 23rd President of the United States. In Russia, Alexander III increases his autocratic power while reversing his father's liberal reforms. The British Empire expands its reach across Burma, Sudan, and the Philippines under the guiding hand of the Queen Mother of the United Kingdoms of Great Britain, the Empress of India, Alexandrina Victoria. Queen Victoria sits in her chambers with a list of names, persons of interest, whom she might employ for a most vital task. She's familiar with the enemy now, 50 years a queen, and at last she is positioned to shake the beasts of hell from their throne, spread fire into the shadows where they hide, and recover what was lost. All she needs is the right people, and 3 have caught her eye. Not far away, a lightly adorned office, 3 chairs and a desk long past its retirement, hold the comfort of familiarity for Captain Winston Price. He presides over vast swaths of paperwork, maps, reports, and a special request from powers not discussed in mixed company are all pushed aside as he carefully regards 3 letters to family. A knock at the door pulls him away from the reverie over lost soldiers, and with a word, he beckons her in. Freya, please describe your character.
Standing at the door is a young woman about 27 years of age, 5'10", with rough, long braided black hair, typically covered in a scarf with 3 feathers tied into the braids, one from a white jay, blue jay, and a magpie. She wears a plain crystal pendant around her neck with a long military jacket that reaches just below her knees with military boots, a black top and black jeans with 2 belts and pouches fastened around her waist.
Right, come in. Have a seat. Captain Price is as inscrutable as ever, a hefty and well-groomed mustache hiding most of his mouth, while cold blue eyes appraise your mood. Sergeant Vale?
Yeah.
How are you? He hasn't asked you about your mood very many times during your long relationship, but he seems concerned now. Not surprising, given recent events.
Holding together as much as I can.
Good. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about what happened, but for paperwork's sake, here in the office, I need you to give me the details one more time.
Well, it was a mission, as you know, that we typically undertake to sabotage a factory producing weapons. Quite common. White Jay had entered the building to plant some bombs. Magpie went along with her as well. I was on the outskirts, keeping watch. And then, well, for lack of a better term, all hell broke loose.
Right. Specifically, sequence of events, if you please. Just
only
sort of hold up the paperwork for the report.
Of course. One of the bombs went off as expected, and then there was silence, then gunfire. I couldn't make out what was happening, and communication was lost. By the time I went down there to find them, her clip was empty. Not a single shot was fired. Blue Jay, I found her. She was almost made it to the edge of the warehouse, but she was torn to pieces. Magpie was hiding underneath one of the vehicles, blabbering incoherently.
And the 3rd?
We don't know. We never found her. Just her weapon.
Right.
YJ was missing.
Thank you. Closes the folder, puts it to the side a little bit. Raven, in your professional opinion, as a sergeant, do you know of any common enemy weapon that could produce these kinds of results?
No. It was not an explosion or gunfire that tore Blue to shreds. Almost looked animalistic.
Do you know of any animal commonly found in factories that could have...
None, sir. The closest
this is a
that I could
strange
say
question.
would be... Pardon, sir.
So, no weapon, no animal, reasonably assumed no man. Are you willing to consider another possibility?
If I can kill it, sir, I'll consider anything.
Good. Sergeant, are you armed at the moment?
Always. And she'll open her jacket to show a well-beat revolver.
Excellent. Never leave home without the Webley. We're gonna go on a little trip. We're gonna meet a couple of people. And if all goes well, you'll get your chance to kill whatever that was. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, sir.
He stands, takes his coat. Then let's get to it. And the two of you head out into the night. Far away, across London, the shadows alone inhabit the decadent halls of the Bank of England, shifting with the passage of light and time. A still silence fills the room, seeping into the ears of those who could hear it, to whisper of vast struggles, fortunes won and lost, lives made and taken within the contents of its vaults. The silent oblivion recedes only slightly as a scraping sound is heard from above. A pane of glass gently lifted free from the skylight dome some 3 stories up. Cool evening air is followed by a rope, and then a woman descending soundlessly into the hallowed halls of commerce. Termite, please describe your character.
Yeah, Echo is fairly short, no more than 5'2", 5'3". He's got very short black hair that just about covers the top of her ears. And she's dressed in all black with a cloak pulled tightly around her shoulders. And it's hard to tell with the swaying of the cloak, but it looks like there's a knife or two strapped to her hip, just in case. She's very slight. Looks like she's very good at getting into small places, and ideally getting out of them.
And what's the place you're trying to get into right now?
Well, right now she's trying to get, if not all the way into the vault, as close as possible, so she can come back later, see what she can get away with.
All right. You slip through darkness, pick a couple of locks. Actually, would she prefer to pick a lock, or did she perhaps lift keys in advance of this event?
She would be picking locks.
All right. Everything in the moment.
Less things that go missing, the better.
And reaching the depths of the bank and an old vault, how does she try to gain entry?
She would start, one, obviously, making sure, checking for anything that might be tied to an alarm or a bell or anything like that. And then she would see, first, how is this thing being kept shut? What kinds of locks or other barriers to entry it might have.
Let's go ahead and do a roll.
Oh,
Can you give me either wits or intelligence, your choice, plus larceny?
absolutely. If I can remember how to do this. Go. 4.
4 is good. 4 is very good. Was that wits or intelligence? Hello?
Yeah.
Was that rolling your wits plus larceny or your intelligence plus larceny?
Intelligence.
Cool. In that case, less research required because you already know what kind of vault this is. You've done a little bit of research and okay, I need to do this and then I need to do that. If I make a hole here, I can release some pressure. I can give it a tug, turn, and after, say, 4 successes, after about 5 minutes, which is pretty good, there's a series of ka-chunk sounds and the vault door begins to swing open. What is Echo expecting to find?
Ideally, money. Anything small she can grab. Maybe some shiny rocks, but mostly just money.
Shiny rocks and jewelry are definitely a possibility. What probably wasn't an expected possibility is a gentleman in a very fine suit sitting in the vault drinking a cup of tea. Hello?
Well, that's not good. Hi.
Not as bad as it could be. Come in. Would you like some tea?
I think I have another place I should be right about now.
I don't know if I would do that. You see, if you flee the premises, the authorities will assume that we didn't talk. So please, have a seat.
Why not? It's not like I have much of a choice, I guess.
I'm afraid few of us do in such times. You go by Echo, is that correct?
Yeah, that's me.
Sugar? Offers you a teacup.
2. She will take.
I believe until recently you were a fairly prolific thief about these parts. Is that also correct?
I'm not sure about prolific, but I got around.
Excellent. Well, I represent an interested party who has need of your specific skills, and conveniently is quite capable of keeping the constabulary at bay.
What kind of interested party?
One with considerable authority.
Got it.
Does that sound interesting?
Sounds interesting, Jar, but it also sounds like going along with this is the only way I get to actually walk out of here, yeah? At least walk out of here more or less under my own power.
Let me be on record as saying that I would have preferred the carrot alone, but you are correct. There is also a stick.
Well, can I get any details of what they're gonna ask me to do? Am I stealing something?
Yes, I believe the stealing of many things will be involved, and a substantial amount of pay to go with it.
Alright, well, consider me in, I suppose. Not like I have too many options.
Wonderful. My name is Lord Boreal, by the way. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure's all yours, I'm sure.
His mouth draws into a thin line, which might be a smile. Come along, then. We have another stop to make before you meet your employer.
I'll be right behind you.
That he walks you out of the bank, past a dozen police officers, to a car. In the highest places of society, those of proper English heritage move with grace and unassailable confidence through lavish decor and across perfectly manicured grounds. Tea is always available, and armies of servants rush to their every whim. In this opulence, Egypt mania is in full swing. Some have taken to unwrapping mummies to ogle the remains within. At one such party, esteemed spiritualist and medium Aelin Crane is preparing to speak with the dead. Clara, please describe your character and the environment you have set up for your show.
Aelin is a wayfish-looking woman with very deep-set eyes. Her hair is ashy blonde and styled in that perfect, effortless Gibson girl tumble of curls that you know takes like 45 hours to make look like an accident. Everything she's wearing for this private show is like the bleeding edge of fashion at the time. So bleeding edge, it was probably purchased this week. And she has this private she has this space, this hall cleared away, so it's everyone is standing, just insane, and in the center on what would be like a lovely dining table, I'm sure, is a mummy that has been acquired from the east. All around the room are candles and paraphernalia that looks occult-esque. When they were decorating the space, Aelin was very careful was very insistent on explaining where certain pieces came from, and all crystal balls and boxes with rusted locks and things and books and languages people can't people here don't read. And she has a story from each one, and each is more absurd than the last. But she stands over this mummy and has been speaking with such a hushed tone that everyone has leaned in to hear her more as she starts to gloveless unwrap this thing. Gloves would hinder her dexterity, you see. We gather here tonight not merely to witness history, but to unveil memory. This is no lifeless relic. This is a vessel of breath once held, of desire once spoken, of secrets wound tightly in linen and time. And she starts unwrapping.
Excellent. Please give me a wits plus perception check. Or I believe it's alertness.
All right, 1 second. Awareness?
Yes. There we go.
Is there a difficulty on this?
All difficulties are base 6 in this system.
Thank you.
Mhm.
2 successes.
And a 10 counts for an additional one. So
3
that's
successes.
all right. As you're beginning your show, there are several things you're keeping an eye on. One, this show isn't just for anybody. You're here with someone, correct?
Oh, yeah.
What is his name?
Oh, man, now I have to run and check my notes. 1 second. What is his name? You're going to ask me my one weakness, naming things.
True. I'm also asking because I'm looking through my notes, and I know we know.
I think he's... Well, I found a first name. Haha. This is Elliot. Just a sweet, young boy. Not really. Sweet young man. And a lord.
Currently an eligible and single lord.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
You're currently here with his family. Or the members who would agree to attend the slightly unusual event that he has been so fascinated by of late. With a 3 on awareness, all are present. There are also several figures you don't recognize, who weren't even at the luncheon beforehand. Raven and Echo, your respective guides have brought you to a house high in the noble heights, places you would ordinarily visit only to provide security or breach security, respectively. And now you're standing in the drawing room, watching a strange woman do strange things.
As this unwrapping continues, Aelin is peppering in commentary, just again leaning into this mysticism. That scent you smell, it's myrrh and resin and something older like longing or envy.
Excellent. Now give me a performance roll.
If I fuck this up, I'm leaving. I quit this game. Performance and...
I believe it's charisma.
4 successes.
6.
Well,
Tens
6
counts as 2.
successes.
Excellent. In that case, you're laying it on and they are eating it up. There is a sense of time and wonder in the room. Even your intended's dismissive older brother is leaning in as if trying to catch some part of what you're claiming is present. A few of the candles have burned past their usual wax to a more scented element and are filling the room with smoke. How are Echo and Raven perceiving this scene? Echo, you're seeing, do you think this is a show? Are you buying the elements? Is this evocative or crude?
Just thinks it's a show, that she's ultimately not doing something terribly different than what Echo does, and is trying to take money from people that don't need it. But just a performance to her. Nothing special.
Cool. And Raven.
He's confused as why she is here. She's looking around, taking in everything, seeing if there's some sort of hidden meaning to it all. But definitely nothing supernatural comes to mind for her.
Cool. I'm going to have you also make me a wits and awareness check.
It would help if I actually knew how to do this. Is it \H?
Yeah, /H roll. And then here. So be /H roll, and then hit tab. So sure that it's actually doing it. And then the last cool. Perfect.
There we go.
All right.
Fail.
For our purposes, that's 4 successes. So you're keeping sharp. You also, like, this is a show, there's people here, you're a little confused, and you sort of glance over at Captain Price standing next to you and see that he's not relaxed. You would describe his demeanor as alert.
As seeing that, she would try to see what he's specifically looking at that has him so on edge.
I think on 4, it's just the scene before him.
She would take a more serious pose then and look deeper into everything moving forward, seeing as her commanding officer is taking this more seriously than what she has initially been doing. So
Cool. Clara, you want to perform a little more?
Yes. At this point, Aelin has fully unwrapped the mummy's face, and holds her hands out to silence the already silent audience. Can you hear him yet? No. Listen harder. Grief hums low. And it's silent for a moment except for the flickering of candles and the creak of a house. And a low whooshing sound starts to go, move through the parlor. Do you hear him? I think he's with us now. If you are present, if you remember, give us a sign. And she lets the room sit in silence before there is another low whooshing sound and some of the candles flicker out.
Excellent. How is she causing this effect, do you think?
There's 1,000% a servant, a child that she has picked up off the street about 3 weeks ago that she has running around with fans.
Excellent.
Don't worry about it.
Excellent. Please roll in this moment as, you said his name was Elliot?
Elliot York.
Elliot York stands up and sort of positions himself across this desiccated corpse from you. He's looking at it and he's like, can they hear us?
If we listen with intention and open our hearts, they can hear us and we can hear them.
I'm going to need you to roll your willpower stat.
Aw, man. 2 successes.
Where am I? Where am I? You hear it. No one else does.
Aelin stops. For the briefest moment, you see, like, someone might see her face change slightly, but then go from slight shock to an elevated over the top, gasp and just almost a swoon. You're here. He can hear us. What is your name?
Fatima, where is here? Elliot leans forward. You're communicating.
I am. I am.
Ask her about the Pharaoh.
About the Pharaoh?
Yes, about the Pharaoh. Does she know him? Speaks.
You've joined us in the year of our Lord 1890. You're in London.
May I see?
I'm not an idiot. I think at this point, Aelin steps back from the mummy and puts her hands to her temples in a, again, dramatic swoon as she says, It is overwhelming. They wish to see too much. I cannot handle it. And she just swoons onto a chair.
Make a performance check.
Charisma or manipulation?
Manipulation.
4 successes.
Or is decent.
5 successes.
You step back, swoon a little, and sit down. Elliot leans over. Spirit, you were taken from the tomb of Ramses II. Do you know where he is? Do you remember him? And he's like looking at you.
They do not. This time is too confusing for them.
Spirit, we must know. We must know. Does he remain? Ramses II. I'm gonna have you make another willpower roll.
Yeah, if you talk louder at something that doesn't speak your language, it certainly can understand you. 3 successes.
Cool. I'm also gonna have willpower rolls from Raven and Echo.
Oh, good.
That's fine.
Not great.
That's 3.
It's not like you can get possessed. It's a fake game. It's a fake seance. Duh.
Yeah. Listen, in character, that's absolutely what Echo thinks.
Roll. There we go.
Cool.
5 success.
All of you hold your nerve as a feeling of anger and fear washes over you. You see several people in the room suffer emotional outbursts. One clasps his head in his hands. A woman turns and just slaps her husband for no reason. Elliot leans over. Ramses. As the hand of the mummy reaches up and grabs him by the throat. We will now enter combat.
Cool.
Hey, what?
Alrighty.
All right, combat works in terms of basically range. Those who would engage in close quarters go first, which means the mummy gets to make its attack first. And then each of you can either close to melee and engage from range, or do a third thing. And all those actions will resolve in that order. Realm of Darkness bot, right?
Yes, but make sure you're not using the 20th edition one, which is Realm of Darkness 20th.
Crazy, you're gonna kill my fiance in the first episode.
Well, I couldn't do it any sooner. Yeah, the mummy has reached up, grabbed this guy by the throat, and is choking the life out of him as it slowly sits up and desiccated face, dry husk, seems to be looking at him. So what would you guys like to do?
I guess I'm closest after the guy being choked. Is there something... There's a very heavy tome near me, correct? Because I've decorated this place.
Absolutely. Heavy-ass book.
I'm going to use my lack of melee skills and just see if I can smack the mummy across the body, I guess, with the tome.
Cool. What is Echo going to do in this situation?
I'm very torn between her just being like, huh, neat trick, or going to try and cut the hand off the mummy.
Both reasonable, frankly. Do you want to make an awareness check to see if you can figure out whether or not this is legit?
Sure, I'll do an awareness check. Oh, great.
Cool. Yeah, pick up the
I
details.
refuse. I was like, Aelin refuses to break character.
I kind of figured. All right, wits awareness. Nope.
This is wild, man. Rich people get up to some crazy shit.
It's great effects.
Yeah, she just kind of crosses her arms and leans back, just like, huh, neat.
Just looking for fishing wire.
And Raven.
Not even hesitating, she's actually going to pull up the revolver and aim it right at the mummy's face.
All right. Melee resolves first, so Aelin, please roll strength plus melee.
If I don't have melee, would you
Cool.
take?
I believe
Would you
you'll
take
be rolling-
athletics?
This is very much a weapon attack,
God damn it!
so we're gonna go with strength, I think flat. Cool. So that's
No
0
successes.
successes. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm not a
have you.
combat character.
I'm gonna have you roll another dice, just for sort of the luck of the situation. Good or bad?
So bad.
Cool. So that's a 1. What is your strength?
1.
Cool. As you turn around, grab a book, turn back, and swing it as hard as you can. But you start swinging it before you set your eyes back on your target. So by the time the book is in motion, your fiance has been dragged mostly onto the table, and you hit him.
Maybe it'll dislodge him.
It does not.
Well, fuck.
Instead, he takes a point of damage.
This is going really well.
I am going to say that hitting somebody with a book is doable for a stage performance, so this doesn't necessarily tip off Echo either. However, what's about to happen next probably will. Raven, please roll your firearms attack without your specialization in this case.
Hey, Raven?
Yes.
Don't shoot my fiance.
I'm going to try not to. No promises, though. That's firearms plus the modifier for the gun, or no?
Firearms plus composure to settle in and land the hit, and then damage will be your hits past its threshold plus the value of the weapon. All right, 4. It's going to use its dodge.
Oh, no.
Well, it gets 6 on its dodge. So you line up, squeeze the trigger, and I think in your aiming, you're like, the neck. Neck's fine. You put a hole through its neck, and it does not appear bothered by that.
That's not normal.
It's extremely not normal.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Yes. Not only has a firearm been discharged indoors, but also that was weird. It's not certainly not a person in a suit. That was way out the window. We go back to the beginning of the round. Now there are 2 combatants at close quarters, the mummy and Aelin. So you guys will act simultaneously.
I do not have combat skills.
You see this mummy. You hear, similar to before, that wind, that whoosh. But you can also see behind the group of people, the kid you hired. So it's not him doing it. And the mummy holding your fiance's head opens its mouth.
I've got a limited amount of things I can do with my tool, with my certain skills. So I take. This is so deeply stupid. I'm going to grab like an ornament, like a glass bauble that's nearby. Mm-hmm. Again, we've really decorated here, and pop it into the mummy's mouth.
Okay.
I don't know what it's doing, but I'm going to stop whatever it is.
Straight up, you grab a crystal ball and try to shove it into the mummy's face. We will use athletics for this.
Damn. Dexterity and athletics?
Yeah.
That was my question. Okay.
Yeah, I'll allow that.
Thank you.
And it's going to make its roll to resist you. Okay, that's 1.
It's not great.
It gets 2. You thrust your hand into its face, and it begins to exhale sand, a torrent of sand. As it touches your flesh, which hand are you using?
Left.
Cool. You watch your skin age and wrinkle. Your effort has diverted this effect mostly away from Elliot. So he's currently not aging at an accelerated rate.
My hand is.
You haven't stopped it, but actually, I'll give you the choice. You can either suffer an aged hand, or you can move your hand out of the way.
This is a very mean thing to make me do in front of his parents. I don't know how reversible this is. Man, okay. If I know it's going to start affecting me as it happens, I do think that Aelin would pull her hand away.
Okay. Yeah. Elliot takes... You got a little bit on you. He takes a full blast to the face. You can't see his face right now. Then
At this point, is the audience a little more, I think it must be clear that something's going terribly wrong.
at this point, I'm going to make a willpower test for the audience.
Oh, good.
They flee in terror.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That checks.
Everyone around you is jumping and clamoring. An old lady gets pushed to the ground, screaming, mostly from the men. A legitimate faint. The family is not handling this well.
In my defense, I'm also not handling it well.
Termite and Freya, what would you like to do? Termite, this is not an act.
I think she's realized that by now. I would like to try and, come up and stab it, in the bottom of the jaw, to try and pin its mouth shut.
Love that. Dex plus melee.
All right. That's pretty good.
7 beats its pool. So yeah, you run up, drive your knife in, and block this sand, which does not behave like sand, from exiting its mouth.
Right, what the fuck is going on?
Okay,
Anyway, I
nobody
imagine
answers
somebody's
you.
about to get shot again.
Yeah. And Raven.
She'll take a quick peek at in between Aelin and Elliot before just going at it again immediately. Aiming right for the eyes this time, in between the eyes.
All right. Make your attack.
That's composure plus firearms, correct?
Composure plus firearms. Trying to beat 1.
3.
A 10
Oh, wait, no,
actually
that's
makes
4.
that. Yeah, 4. So you walk up to this thing, place your revolver against its skull, and blow its whole head off. I'm gonna need a dexterity and wits roll from Echo, and a willpower roll from Aelin.
I can do Dex and Wit. I'm gonna spend a point of willpower on that. Okay, well.
Okay. 3 is sufficient. As this thing's head explodes, you've already identified that whatever this sand is, it's bad, and you don't want it on you. So as it poofs out across the room, you dive for cover and don't get any on you. Without it holding them anymore, Elliot and Aelin fall away, and Aelin, you hear the voice in your head. Desecrated. Vengeance. Ramses will take vengeance. You will suffer.
Shut up.
And then its voice is gone.
Nobody's saying anything.
Pardon the best. But what
How
the
bad?
hell was that?
How bad does Elliot look?
I'm going to roll 3d10, and that's how many years he's aged.
Jesus. So he's dead. So he's just straight up dead.
He was a young man. He was like 23 before. So now he's 40. Let's see. 23.
45.
30. Yeah, 45.
Okay, that's not that bad.
Not great for this period in history, but
He does age like a white guy.
yeah. He is still as small and sort of sheepish, but now he looks 45.
He's got middle-aged face on twink body. Okay, we can work with this.
What? What happened? What happened?
Darling,
Yeah, it was.
everything is fine now. You're safe.
Cool. He is fully lost to panic. He's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
coherent.
I call for a servant to he's had a terrible shock and is not well. Please take him to his rooms.
Cool. Make what would be like a persuasion check. I need a character sheet in front of me.
I can do it.
Cool.
Charisma or manipulation.
We're gonna go charisma because it's not necessarily about whether or not they obey you. It's just about whether or not they can hear you as they are running.
One success.
Cool. The 4 of you, the body, Price, and Boreal, are the only people here. What is Echo doing? This medium is like looking for a servant to take care of this guy, who's clearly gotten a full blast of whatever this is. Where's Echo's head at?
Trying to figure out what the fuck just happened, and then probably, like, running to get someone.
Okay, you want to investigate?
Yeah, I'll go see if I can find fucking anybody at this point.
Oh, you're investigating through the house looking for help.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, roll me wits and investigation.
That's only one.
Yes, many people have gone running. There is a servant who's a little bit more curious as opposed to, like, fearful. Despite, like, yeah. Hello?
Sees him. Right, so something happened, you're coming with me.
All right. Something
she leads
happened?
him back to the room. I can't really explain more because I don't really know more. Something happens. She is, like, dragging him.
Old lady. Looks like she
dragging
works
her.
in the kitchen.
All right, yeah.
I heard something. That hasn't happened in 10 years.
Yeah, she's basically being dragged.
For sure. How is Raven responding?
Looking at the corpse in front of her, she would turn to Price.
He has
What
his
just
revolver out, but, like, held low.
She would mirror. Is that what you were expecting me to see?
I didn't know it would be that, but we were pretty sure it would be something.
Are you speaking privately, or can I hear this?
I think you can hear it.
It's definitely not private.
Not shot, though. Nobody died.
I don't recall you being invited or buying a ticket. What did you expect?
Ma'am,
Honestly, I just thought it was a bunch of smokes and mirrors until, well, that thing rose up.
Well, do you need proof that I'm real then?
I think we have what we need. Apologies for the inconvenience. But, Miss
Did you cause this?
Far from it.
Then
I
you
can
don't need to
explain more
apologize.
when we're, perhaps we should step out. He kind of looks down at your partner.
I need to make sure my fiance is safe.
At this point, a servant person and a slight stranger in unusual garb, pants, for one thing,
Pants.
enters the room. It's like, oh, Miss Abbott, Miss Abbott, I don't know what happened. What happened? What happened? What?
There's been an accident. Elliot needs to immediately return to his rooms and rest.
Right, I'll get him off there, miss. No problem. Come on, master. Let's get you upstairs. Tabitha, what happened? You had too much to drink, Mr. Elliot. It's all right now. Come on. And she, like, guides him out of the room. As she does, one more thing, as he turns back and looks at Aelin and says, "Did she say Ramses?"
Not that I heard, love.
Manipulation and, deception. Make a lie roll.
Boo, boo, what's in them? Sorry, can't type today. 5 successes. No, 4.
On 5 successes, I think everyone here believes you. Whatever
Good enough.
this guy wanted out of that mummy, he didn't get it. Yeah, and now you're in a room with a body. Price gives you all a nod.
Yes.
Right, we will wrap this up.
Yes. And Aelin will start sort of packing up this thing more carefully. Can I help you all?
What the fuck just happened?
There's no need for language. Although, yes, perhaps from your perspective there is. Are you familiar with the concept of a mummy?
I mean, yeah, there's one sitting right there.
Right, well, it attacked someone.
Was not planned.
No. I certainly hope not. If you planned this, well, we have a different kind of conversation to have.
Right, so we'll start with the important question. How?
Well, it varies, but, Ms. Crane, did you hear a voice? Was that performance or was that real?
Who is asking?
Apologies, ma'am. Captain Winston Price, Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I would ask you to prove that, but it seems to be in the name.
His mustache twitches.
And why have you graced this event?
That's the part we'll have to explain further in the car, if you don't mind. At this point, he pulls a tablecloth and just wraps the dead mummy in it.
Excuse you, that is property of the York family.
They'll be compensated.
And Aiden sort of looks around like, it's not my business. All right, whatever, fuck it.
Sergeant Vale, do you mind getting the other end?
Right away, sir.
Thank you.
And she'll bend down and pick it up. Should be careful of the sand.
That's a good point. We don't know if it's inert. And the two of you carry the remains of the mummy out and throw them in the trunk.
Is there still sand in the parlor?
Let's actually roll for it. Let's see how far it got. High or low?
Low.
Cool. So on a low, there is or there isn't?
On a low, there is sand. God
Nope.
damn it!
What sand?
Not a
What
flag.
sand? It's gone. It disappeared. Fuck.
Not a single grain. Hard to know if the sand was ever there at all. Forgive me, I'm Lord Bulio. And this tall, well-dressed man, sort of reedy, large, sort of hooked nose, extends his hand.
Aelin will take it, palm side down. Charmed, I assume you know me.
We are aware of your reputation, yes. Do you mind?
Do you mind?
Oh, please.
I was going to ask if you would explain why you've crashed this event, but perhaps it was worth it, as it seems like someone else's quick thinking was able to stop that from whatever it wanted.
Indeed, we do try to be punctual. If you don't mind, my employer would very much like to speak with you.
Aelin sort of looks at the room that has been sort of destroyed by all of this. Now?
Unless you have another offer immediately, yes.
Someone will clean this up. And she goes to a carpet bag that she had stashed under one of the under a table, and there is like a small child crouched next to it with a large like piece of cardboard.
Hang on. We'll save for the small child.
Aw, come on.
A dead person tried to kill a man. If I'm 6, I'm not sticking around.
That kid's got to be at least 10. It's fine. They're fine.
He was 8 and he's back now.
And I give the kid like a pound and tell him, if you don't mind helping the servants clean up and,
Oh my
Yes.
god, I can retire!
I know. Have them feed you before you go.
I'll be able to buy a whole chicken with this.
You'll have to find a place that's selling a whole chicken first.
Oh no, just the one.
And with that taken care of, Ayla will take her bag and be ready to go.
All right. Anyone want to do anything else before you guys leave?
Not particularly. I don't want to be here anymore.
Very reasonable.
Same.
All right. You guys head out. You're actually in a large carriage. And yeah, there's a wrapped package sort of on the floor between everyone's feet as you guys head out to parts yet unknown. Here in the carriage, I think you can all, the three of you, get your first real look at each other. Thoughts? What does Aelin think seeing this weird company who's just come to her rescue?
I recognize when someone is performing, even if they're not intending to do so. And this is this all feels very much like a show of mystery from these two men. The other two women in the car, she assumes that Aelin is far more interested in sitting back and observing, so she's clocking the pants and the demeanor and the fact that these two women clearly are more combat oriented than anything else. Well, maybe one of them.
Cool. Raven, what do you see?
Someone that has seemed to talked or performed her way up in society, but has an air of mystery about them that she can't quite pin down. The other suspects possible confrontation. Potentially someone that definitely has not always been on the right side of the law, so to speak.
Valid. And Echo?
Yeah, I mean, Echo sees a soldier, pretty straightforward there. Kind of expects, might be a bit rough around the edges, a bit difficult to deal with depending on the situation, but the other is, she seems like a noble, but also seems like a pathological liar. So she's kind of like, on the one hand, maybe we can get along, on the other, you might cause problems. She's not entirely sure where to stand there.
All right. Opinions beginning to form. Still a lot of questions swirling around. Not the least of which, what was that? Yeah, the carriage trundles through the streets. It's getting pretty late at this point. I think two of you for sure know, and the third figures it out pretty quickly, where you're headed. Because anyone who's been to London knows Buckingham Palace. Guards stand at attention, weapons ready, eyes ahead. Immaculate servants allow you out, and your two chaperones escort you coolly through halls of opulence that make your head spin. A scale and level of artistry and gilding and absolute cleanliness and manicure of everything around you, until after several overwhelming halls and hallways filled with decorous paintings, you stop outside the door of a small sitting room. Right. Weapons. And Price extends a hand.
Without missing a beat, Raven would just pull out the pistol and hand it directly to him.
He nods, pockets it.
Yeah,
Next.
Echo pulls out a pair of knives.
Question. Is Echo
yes.
trying to... Yeah, okay.
No, that is all of them.
That's all of them?
That is all of them.
Okay. Does Aelin have any sort of weapons on her person?
When he looks at her, Aelin just laughs and says, "Not unless you plan to cut out my tongue, darling."
He nods and opens the door for you. Inside is smaller, though no less distinguished in its beauty. A sitting room, a table with 3 chairs, an assortment of tea and cakes, and on the other side, jotting down notes in a small book, is Queen Victoria. Come in. Yes. Sit down. Does anyone not sit?
Raven will do so very uneasily, as she's typically not sitting in these situations.
Echo definitely considers not sitting, but she also doesn't want to push her luck too far.
Having had the time to recover, Aelin is back to her bullshit, so she makes herself quite at home.
Cool. Just as a roleplay note real quick, let me get a willpower check from everybody. It's been an eventful evening, and now you are here in the presence of arguably the most powerful person in the world. Cool. So, that's 4 successes for Raven, 3 for Echo, and 2 for Aelin. Yeah, I think probably Aelin understands the most how significant this is, and is therefore the most rocked by this encounter. The scope and impact of this hits you the hardest.
She does.
Good evening.
She does sit respectfully, but is at home.
Good evening. How has your evening been?
Well, we watched someone get attacked by a mummy, which exciting, a little bit traumatizing, I think. That's not supposed to happen.
Yes, rather strange, I should think.
Yes, typically the dead should stay dead. Hopefully this one stays dead.
It has been a long day, Your Majesty.
Yes. Well, Sergeant, I suspect the good captain shall see to that. And if he does not, I expect you will. Now, I have called you here for a specific purpose. Would you like to hear it?
Well, we're here, so why not?
Miss
Of
Crane.
course, Your Grace.
Yes. Miss Crane,
Yes.
it is my understanding that you have some capacity to speak with those who have moved beyond the mortal coil. Is this correct?
Yes, I can.
And it is not, I suppose, as a certain other performer of unusual acts suggests so commonly, that you are in fact a fraud and a performer only.
Houdini is a liar. I can honestly tell you, yes. I do believe that I have made contact with the dead.
Give me a charisma and persuasion.
I'm telling the truth.
I know. Let's just see how compelling you are.
Yeah, suck it. 6 successes.
In this moment, I think you are, because of what just happened and because of where you are now and because of who you are talking to, it is hard to keep up your usual facade and airs. So when you speak honestly, it is clearer and more honest than you would typically be capable of speaking. And she gives you a solemn nod. Good. Good, I am pleased to hear it. Your services will be required. Sergeant Vale,
Yes, Your Grace.
I understand you recently suffered something of a loss. Is that correct?
Yes, unfortunately, Your Grace.
You have my most sincere condolences and the condolences of a grateful nation.
Thank you.
Your man out there, Captain Price, he has promised you a chance to avenge what was lost, has he not?
Yes, he has.
I intend to see his promise fulfilled. Do as I direct, and the loss will not go unavenged.
You have my great sincerity, Your Grace.
And yeah, let's also go with a persuasion check. Not your speciality. We'll see.
It is not. I have 0 in persuasion, so
Charisma?
okay. 1 success.
She nods. And Ms. Ferros, yes?
Yes, that's me.
I shall admit, your speciality will be most useful in this situation. However, I can only offer you, I believe, wealth and freedom as payment for the services you will no doubt render.
Well, that's good enough by me, honestly.
Very well. Now, before you agree in full, each of the 3 of you understand that you will face such creatures as you met today again, and worse, far, far worse. In my service, you will encounter and no doubt come into conflict with creatures of intense malice and vast ability. You will be called upon to destroy them in my name and in the name of this empire. Will you accept this charge?
Sure.
My apologies. Are you asking us to hunt monsters? What are you asking?
Fair enough. The precise nature of your task will be twofold, and neither is necessarily the destruction of unusual beings. Your task, should you choose to accept it, will be the recovery of a valuable stolen item and the dispensation of justice against those who have absconded with it, is that they operate adjacent to unnatural things will no doubt come up.
I understand the irony of what I'm about to say, but it the unnatural tends to wish to be left alone unless you are trained in it.
An interesting idea. What do you mean by that? Please elaborate.
As everyone has seen today, even in my capacity as a medium, it does not always. These things are best left alone.
Well,
And do you wish to go out and acquire it, mess with it?
I assure you, child, the entities upon which I ask you to set your sights desire not to leave us alone. They are coming, and they will do so whether or not you take this charge. I offer you a chance to prepare for them, and to perhaps prevent them from touching the world of those who do not know they exist.
Well, and now, I suppose it would be foolish to refuse a request from the Queen.
But there are many fools. I am pleased to not count you among them, Miss Crane. So, is it settled? Shall we begin?
I look at the other two.
I mean, I'm in. I already said that. But we're gonna hunt monsters and steal ancient relics.
Raven's not going to refuse an order.
Sorry,
I don't think I get a choice.
we're going
Excellent.
to reclaim.
Precisely. Acquire, dear. We acquire relics, as shall be your task as the respective heads of Her Majesty's reliquary. I am creating the organization. The paperwork is just about done. You will lead a group of specialists. Some your choice, although Lords Boreal and Captain Price are already signed on to join you. Ms. Vale, I apologize. It may be unusual for you to now be in command of a man who previously was in command of you, but I expect you to do your best. Your objective is indeed twofold. The reliquary is to pursue the crown jewels, stolen last night from their safe place in the Tower of London. Our current suspect, about which we know very little, is an organization calling themselves the Cult of Lords. They are, in what little we can determine, widespread and well-informed. Recover the jewels, and if the cult should try to stop you, destroy them. Do you understand?
And why would you need my help on this? These two seem well equipped to handle this.
Well, I shall be blunt. I trust neither of them to speak in good company.
Aelin looks at the other two.
I'm plenty capable of speaking in good company. I just prefer not to. If I need
Your
to, I'll
accent
do
would
it.
have you thrown out of most houses in this city.
That's a bigger problem.
Yes, Sergeant Vale and Miss Ferros both have particular skills. Yours, however, are also well suited to a specific station. One I intend to grant you.
That would be... I could be amenable to that.
Good. Now, the recovery of the jewels is not simply a matter of appearance. We lose more than face with their theft. The British Empire has taken some time to build and a great deal of effort. But in my experience, very things are possible without a little extra help. The jewels themselves provide some of that help. Should they fall into the wrong hands, the Cult of Lords might gain an upper hand I would prefer they did not have. Thus it is imperative that they not acquire the jewels. I shall put a significant amount of resources at your disposal. If you have any requests, please come through Lord Boreal. That will be all.
Oh.
You had more?
No, I suppose, if that is it, we can set about searching for these.
Excellent. Good evening. And, obviously, I hope you are successful. And that you survive the attempt. And she pulls out her notebook and goes back to writing.
I know when I've been dismissed. If no one else moves, I think Aelin will stand and start leaving.
Yeah, Echo absolutely gets up to start leaving.
Raven as well.
All right. Back outside, Price and Boreal are still there. Give me like an insight check, Raven.
Insight and what else?
Wits.
3 success.
Price looks up at you as you come out. You see he's been standing across from the door, arms folded, and there is a look of subtle, because he's always hard to read, relief and pride. Right, let's get to work.
Where to now?
Thank you for listening to The Great Game. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure to subscribe and review wherever you're listening to your podcast. You can find more of our actual plays on our website at www.hallowedhavenstudios.com. Please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/hallowedhavenstudios. Your support makes more stories like this possible. Moving over the rooftops of dreary nighttime London, our 3 hunters, freshly minted, find themselves rolling up outside a train yard, led inside and across into a warehouse. Golden lamplight shines across exposed brick and thick wooden beams, supporting a heavy roof of a train depot. A series of smaller chambers reside on a raised platform containing a seating area with a wood stove, offices, and a meeting chamber with a series of maps, all lacking any form of decor. The center of the room grasps one's attention firmly as a full steam locomotive sits at a resolute idle. Several cars of hard wood, windowed but otherwise common in appearance, follow behind it. The carriage that brought you here stands on the far side, and beyond that, a set of what appear to be chambers, likely restroom and perhaps several bunks. With a nod, you are welcomed to your temporary command center. It's more the train than the warehouse, actually. What would you like to do?
This is quite a lot. And it will just be us 3. Well, and yourself, Captain.
Oh, you'll have the option to employ certain individuals. Obviously, there will be staff if paperwork is required. I believe a media consultant has been discussed.
I'm sorry, what?
You are now a branch of the British government.
Wait, does that mean we're gonna have to deal with, like, reporters and shit? Or are we, like, a secret branch of the British government that isn't known by the public, and we can at least pretend to live semi-normal lives outside of when we're hunting down?
Well, I suppose
Whatever
that will
we're
be a
gonna be
matter
hunting
for
down.
your own discretion. If you feel that the use of a public image could be helpful in your mission, then we can facilitate the acquisition of one. Otherwise, a more clandestine approach is likely valid. Pros and cons both ways, I should think.
I'm going to start kind of looking around the space.
Okay. Yeah. Investigation plus wits. What are you looking for?
I'm trying to get a better sense of the whole place. It's clearly we have an HQ. Just to see if there's anything fun.
Okay.
4 successes? 5 successes.
Oh, I did glance back at the rules, and it's if you get 2 10s, then it counts as double
Okay.
for future. Yeah. 4 successes. The building is not particularly classy. In fact, it is not remotely classy. You wouldn't necessarily entertain anyone here unless they were tied to a chair. So if you intend to do business on a higher level, nice offices would probably be your first start. Just straight up new building. The train, on the other hand, is clearly set up for long travel. There's like a sleeping car and a dining car, or at least a kitchen and a place to sit, as well as like a small library.
as I start exploring the train and the warehouse, I'll ask our handler, I guess. Does Her Majesty intend for us to exist permanently in her employ, or is this just on a case-by-case basis?
Her Majesty has not shared that information with me as of yet.
I suppose I'm wondering if I still need to pay rent on my own flat.
It depends on the standard of amenities one is accustomed to. The bunks, I shall be avoiding them. No offense. The off-train bedding situation is a bit above common for servants, but not much.
I suppose I'll keep paying rent then.
What are the rest of you doing?
Do we know what her first task is going to be, or is that something that hasn't been figured out yet?
Yes. At your discretion, we can go to the Tower of London and you can conduct an investigation of the site wherein the actual theft took place.
Right. Okay. That seems like a problem for tomorrow.
That does. It's been quite the day.
As you wish. Should you have any immediate requests, I can create a list. I am to function as your accountant as well as, well, I suppose the term butler is appropriate.
While this is going on, Raven would be checking the surroundings for security purposes to try and make sure the place is secure.
Cool. Also give me a wits plus investigation. Unless you have something that would relate more to, like, tactics or armoring.
Aside from firearms, not that I could tell.
Okay.
That's only one.
You're actually pretty familiar with the sort of structural facts. I think you start to recall a conversation with a particular member of your old squad about how best to destroy a building like this. And rather than conduct a thorough investigation of all the tactical options, you just start remembering. You are, after a moment, pulled out of it as Captain Price taps you on the shoulder. Hi.
Yes, Captain.
With a nod, he takes you onto the train and into the dining car. You just thought you should know first. He reaches under the bar and gives a pull, and a rack of alcohol drops down to reveal multiple loaded revolvers and a substantial rifle, just in case.
That will definitely come in handy.
I'm going to say 4 revolvers and a bolt-action rifle. Right. Sorry, I couldn't really fill you in beforehand. Secrecy and all.
No, that's quite all right, Captain. It's to be expected. It's a lot to take in. So I'm assuming that something like that mummy is what you suspect.
Oh, you mean the creature?
Yes.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure what to expect. We got word something was smuggled in. And, certain people tend to be more interested. If it wasn't at that party, it would have been another. I don't want to say we got lucky, but at least we were there when it jumped up. Not a bunch of, well, if you hadn't been, I expect you know how that would have gone.
No, of course. It's just been a very long day.
Right. You want a drink before we hit the bunk?
Always.
Here you go. It's not Scottish, but it's all right. And he pours you some whiskey.
As long as it dulls the pain, she'll take a glass.
Anything from Echo before you guys all hit the proverbial hay?
She's definitely I imagine smash cut back to her talking to the butler, being like, all right, so a bunch of mirrors, some lengths of rope, a bag to carry it all in, some nets maybe, just a bunch of random shit that doesn't make any sense.
All right, nets, mirrors, rope.
Maybe some cloth.
If I may, I will be a more useful attendant to your needs if I understand the overall direction in which you are thinking.
That depends on what we run into. Bits to make things that we might not have on hand.
Very well. I shall do my best. And he pockets the note and heads out right that moment. I'm going to say Price steps out first, and there's a moment as you guys are like, probably Echo and Aelin see a bottle, and it's like, that sounds like a decent idea. But the three of you are in the train car, alone.
Well, if it's all the same, I think we all have a busy day tomorrow, and I have things to attend to. And Aelin's going to start sort of like sidling towards the door.
Raven, being a few drinks in, is a little more brazen than she typically is, and as Aylin's leaving, she'd make the remark, something along the lines of, "Are you just not happy to be around those of lesser class?"
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Do we not make good company?
It's not about the company. It has been a very long day, if you have not noticed. And
It has.
there may or may not be a rampant mummy curse running around now, so, you know.
I'm sorry, a mummy curse?
There may or may not be something at work.
Right, but we have the mummy, and it's presumably being taken care of?
Well, I don't know how that works now.
Well, that's fair. I did blow its head off, but it came back once. I'll take a sip.
Is there... You said there was a library, OT?
I think you'd call it the beginnings of a library.
Oh, okay.
There's a Bible.
Yes. I think at this point in the evening, like, it's very clear that Aylin's nervous and uncomfortable, but, like, isn't, and is not doing a great job at, like, covering that up. I suppose if we're working together on this, the truth is I don't know what happened today.
I don't either.
Well, no one expects you to. The point is that it's all very, it's hard to make a contingency with something that shouldn't exist, you know? And how it relates to missing jewels seems a little bit absurd.
Well, I mean, the problem is we don't really know how it all relates. For all we know, this group could just be stealing the jewels to make a point or something, to maybe show that the royal family can't be trusted and that the government needs to be torn down. Or...
That is quite the jump.
Is it though? I mean, we just watched a mummy come to life and try to kill somebody by forcing them to age.
Which, apologies for your husband, by the way.
Fiance, and, I am very worried for him. I hope he's fine.
Deception check.
Manipulation and persuasion, will you take that?
Yeah.
I can also do manipulation and subterfuge.
Yeah, okay.
Watch me roll like shit. No, man.
5, not bad.
I'm really good at this.
Remind me, what is Raven's willpower?
8.
Yeah, so you know that's bullshit. Echo? Could be legit. Please, presume.
Could be legit if she didn't pull her hand away when she had the chance to block it. So I think some reasonable doubt being like, right, but you care about yourself more. So not that she's not worried, but that she's more worried about herself. Well, maybe don't... Wait, you said that the mummy was theirs. Did they ask you to do that?
How did the mummy come into my possession?
Your fiance was super excited to have you do this reading.
Jesus. Yes, the York family found it, I guess, and brought it back with them. It seemed the least I could do.
And your fiancé seemed, I don't want to say obsessed, but very interested in the mummy's relation and or knowledge to or about Ramses?
who isn't, right? The Egyptian fever is everywhere right now, and it's anyone is looking for any link they can to the kings of the past.
Right, but he seemed to... Maybe I'm just reading into what he said too much. He asked about Ramses still being around, right?
I actually can't remember.
Yes, he did. When he was leaving, he asked you if the mummy spoke about him being around still, looking and seeking for confirmation.
And I said he hadn't.
No, but what I'm getting at is, why would he ask that question if he didn't suspect? And why would he suspect him to be around if he's years old?
Was I given anything to storyteller? Was I given anything to like as far as background on this before we started the seance?
Let's have you make an intelligence. What would apply to this? Knowledge skill, investigation, history, something like that.
All right, I'll take intelligence investigation.
How much due diligence did you do on the mummy? Or the whole affair? Or did you just go in?
Well, it wasn't supposed to get up.
Yeah, but the more you know about the mummy, the better.
Yeah, 7 successes
7 successes?
on 5 dice.
Holy
Fiance
cow.
dead. I know everything about this mummy, though.
I think looking back on it in this moment, pieces start to come together. You met Elliot. It's been, a couple of months? 6-ish at most?
Mm-hmm.
And you met him and he was interested in your craft and asked you a fair number of questions. He's sort of the family eccentric anyway. And now that you're looking back on it, the thing he was the most interested in was whether or not you could communicate and how much and what you could learn. Again, not especially unusual. And then he talked about getting this mummy and was kind of cagey about how and who it was connected to. I don't think you specifically heard the name Ramses until you were in the room. But on 7, some of his papers, some of his correspondence with explorers, archaeologists, various couriers and transportation services, and his focus and attention on you. There's a little part of you that says, how far did he go to make this happen? And on 7, pretty fucking far. You have any specific question, or does that mostly cover it?
Does he have... do I know that Elliot has friends that seem to also be very interested in this mummy situation? Like, I'm suspecting at this point, like, he's a member of this cult.
He definitely has friends who are into the occult. Whether or not they'd be involved in something... Let's be clear. In your experience with criminals, they all have a little more spine than you're intended. And certainly a level of worldliness. That said, that's criminals. Maybe a cultist is a different breed.
But no mention in all of the rigmarole of getting the mummy to me of Ramesses before I actually spoke with it and heard Elliot talking to it.
7 is really good.
What would I know about Ramses at all?
I'm going to make that specifically a history roll.
That is not
In fact-
an option.
Let me see the skill check.
Academics?
Academics, yeah. In fact, anyone
Alright.
who wants to can roll intelligence plus academics to see if they know anything about Ramses II.
Sure, why not? Jesus!
Good, because oh no. 1 from me, but I don't think I need it now.
I got 5?
Cool. Okay. So, Sergeant, Ramses sounds like ram, which makes you think of a goat. So why they were talking to a mummy about goats is clearly a puzzle.
Yeah, that tracks.
Aelin, Ramses was a pharaoh. And apparently, given what the spirit said to you, a pharaoh with some direct connection to your decapitated corpse that's sitting out in the carriage. Echo, this is not your first encounter with lost Egyptian artifacts. You facilitated about a dozen of them getting lost not that long ago. And after you had carefully absconded with a bunch of stuff that you were told was canopic jars and jewelry, one of your old crew went on kind of a nerdy tangent about the pharaoh Ramses II. Which of your crew do you think would be most likely to do this kind of like obscure research?
Probably Stray.
Willow Allen, usually
Willow
the
Allen.
muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of the new guy, but he'd been doing well in a couple of. He started out winning a couple of notable brawls, but we're like, that was crazy. Then he got into like bare knuckle, and by the time he was working with you, he was also doing a bunch of reading, and yeah, kind of talked your ear off a little bit, frankly, about how different pharaohs, they were all perceived as like, god kings in their time. Blasphemous, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was sort of the organization. They were all one thing, right? The pharaoh was everything. He was god, he was king. He ruled the Nile, he controlled the tides. And this Ramses pharaohs, he had a real reputation, apparently. There's some stuff about him being kind of a nasty sort. A lot of war starting, a lot of getting into it. And yeah, followers, weird stuff. It was a character, apparently. Of course, that's if they've translated it right, and who knows that, right?
Seems unlikely, but that's better than nothing.
That's what I said. Yeah, so you know that.
Yeah, Echo just kind of. I don't know a ton. I was never really my bag of tricks, but yeah, he was a pharaoh. Pharaohs are, believed to be gods by the people of Egypt, at least at the time. He was apparently particularly. I don't necessarily want to use the word ruthless because I'm not sure exactly how true that was, but a bit of a warlord. He apparently started a lot of wars, or at least a lot of wars started underneath him, and there were some strange things going on with his followers. So, all very odd.
Is Ramses not the one from the Bible? Am I right about that? This is both Clara and Aelin asking now.
So they all worship this ram.
Oh, honey.
No, not that. So it's it'd be a completely different language, so it's unlikely that it translates like that. Ramses, I don't think, has anything to do with rams.
He was like a king, but in the same way that the right to rule England and Great Britain is bestowed upon Her Majesty by God, the people in Egypt assumed the same of theirs.
It's more that they believe that the pharaohs were gods become flesh, which might be a step further than just believing that they're given the divine right to rule, but that's not my job to think about.
As it stands, this the fellow who's now in the carriage may have had some relation to said king.
Also, I'm just going to add that, yes, it is believed that Ramses II is the king referred to in the Book of Exodus, the Pharaoh of the Exodus.
So, while he is not, whomever is in. Oh, did I get a name during that seance? I do think I did.
Yes, you did.
Athema?
Say it one more time. I did not write this down. I was in the middle of a roleplay scene.
The name she gave you was Fatima,
Fatima.
and you did recognize a woman's voice.
Well, the woman in the carriage now is not, said Pharaoh. She's someone else.
Perhaps a lover?
Or a
Perhaps.
particularly devout follower?
A servant, perhaps. I do think that pharaohs were buried with them. She wasn't thrilled that, she was being manipulated now. I will admit that is the first time it's happened, but it's also the first time I've ever unwrapped a mummy.
First time that I've shot of mummy.
It's the first time I've ever been that close to a mummy.
Lot of firsts today.
Yes, you're all taking it very well.
Military training and liquor will do that.
I haven't had time to process it. Still trying to survive.
Right. I suppose if you're both in charge of somewhat keeping me alive, I'll accept a air of calm.
Sure, calm. That's what we'll call it.
If you're not
Should I be
calm,
more? Should I
you
be more
lose-
concerned?
I don't believe so. Thing hasn't moved since we've blown its head off. And we have weapons. I don't think you should be alarmed.
Right then.
I mean, if you're that worried, I'm sure I can set something up to, let us know if anybody tries to do anything.
Oh, that reminds me, I haven't called him in yet.
Who?
Are we still in the train car? We're still in the train car, right?
Yes.
She'll set down her glass and she'll walk outside and she'll whistle really loudly to summon Lucian.
The night is dark, and only the gentle whoosh of a wing informs you of his arrival before your bird perches happily on your outstretched hand and regards the other two with a slightly narrowed eye.
Yeah. She'll pet Lucian.
What?
Have you never seen a raven before?
I've seen plenty of ravens. Most of them don't react like that to people.
They're very smart.
This one is fully trained. He's very intelligent.
Trained to do what?
Look out. Retrieve things. Alert us if anyone's nearby. And on occasion, follow people.
Oh.
Eye in the
It'll,
sky.
it'll take off one of her rings and sort of hand it to the bird.
Lucian hops onto the bar, sort of darts across it, picks up the ring, looks at you, and then looks over at Echo for a moment longer, as if to say, "See?" And then darts back to his master and drops the ring into a pocket of hers before hopping back onto her shoulder.
We've just met, and I think he already has a problem with me.
Lucian's quite particular about who he likes.
Animals are very intuitive.
What's that supposed to mean?
Still
Maybe if
just
you offered a
dead-eyeing
gift or
Echo.
two, he might loosen up a bit.
Echo is gonna pat herself down,
Reach into a pocket, and pull out probably a little bell.
Mhm.
I don't really have much. Was trying to fix that before I was interrupted. And she will set the bell on the table.
Cool. Please roll. Let's go charisma and animal ken.
All right, I will roll charisma. That's 2.
Lucian hops down, approaches, picks up the bell for a second, drops it, and returns to the shoulder.
Maybe it's gonna take some more time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lord Boreal interrupted me while I was getting things that would be more appealing, hopefully.
What are you planning on doing tomorrow?
We're going to the Tower of London. We're going to... and we're going to investigate what happened. Mostly because I don't want to get arrested for trying to rob the Bank of London again.
Again?
Like I said, I was interrupted.
Have you ever been successful?
Well, I made it to the vault. There just happened to be somebody waiting for me inside of it, which isn't usually how that goes.
Perhaps it's the best security now.
I just wonder what would have happened if I hadn't opened it. Regardless, pretty sure if I try again, then I will end up getting in trouble.
No, that does beg the question. How did they get the gems? The Tower of London is one of the most secure places in all of England.
I mean, sure, but any secure place has its holes in security. There's always something you can exploit. It'll be easier to tell what exactly that was and how exactly they did it once we get there to actually look into it tomorrow, though.
True.
On that note, the next day, at the Tower of London. The last night's events seem a little dreamlike. If you weren't waking up in a strange place, with one of you having a slightly aged hand, you might think it was a dream. You had a perception of the world, and now it is vastly changed. Exactly how much of a change it will end up being, time will tell. The carriage, however, takes you to the tower. The guards allow you passage. Down through old stone that has held incredible valuables and monstrous criminals, enemies of the state, and if you believe in that sort of thing, the enemies of God on more than one occasion. Here you are. A large chamber, shattered glass, velvet, whereupon the jewels previously sat, a vault door. How would you like to investigate?
I mean, Echo would start at where the jewels were. So they're in like a shattered glass case.
They were indeed, yes.
Okay. I mean, important question. I assume is the glass broken inward? Like, are there shards of glass in the case? Or does it look like somebody tried to cover something up and all of the glass is outside?
That you can immediately tell. Yes, the glass, some of it is shattered inward.
Okay.
I'm going to step back and let Echo do this, and then try something when they're done.
Cool.
All right, so it looks like, yeah, they just broke the glass. Are there any, like, tripwires or anything set up in the room that would trigger alarms?
Let's make an investigation check.
All right. Oh, if only I were better at this.
What is Raven doing at this time?
Raven would want to talk to the guard that's supposed to be standing guard outside the vault.
Cool. Deal with that second. On a single success, first of all, yes, there would have been alarms. Looking around, it looks like they were not initially tripped.
Right.
Yeah. It also looks like, yeah, the obvious things. I think you know the vault door wasn't bypassed in your particular subtle method.
Yeah.
There's like scoring on the outside of it.
Yeah, they forced their way in.
Yeah. Any other detail you'd like to look into while you are here in the vault itself?
Not particular. Are there any... Well, no, because it's a vault. Are there any other exits? Or is it just the one door in and out?
It's the one.
Okay.
Actually, you guys are all in here. Let's go wits and perception, because you all might see something.
Marginally better at wits and awareness.
We got 1, we got 2.
Do you mean awareness?
Yes, wits and awareness, please.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. Wait, no, 2, 2, and 3. All right. On 2, I think both Echo from a level of experience and Aelin from having read books or silly comics about crime. I think you both clock an air vent that's near the outside of the vault door. Depending on where it goes, it could have allowed bypassing of some of the security outside in the general tower. On three successes, you find something that doesn't quite fit. A couple things are clear. Yes, the door appears to have been blasted and forced. Yes, the jewels were smashed, or the glass was smashed, the jewels were stolen. But just at the top of the vault door, where it was opened, there's a little tuft of something stuck, or a piece of jagged metal. And you reach up and pull down a tuft of coarse, snow-white hair.
Well, this doesn't look like it belongs here. Thoughts?
God damn it.
Yeah, can I take it and use sense the unnatural?
Sure.
She'll hand it over.
Do you have
know
to
what
do
roll
anything
for? I
I
think
was like, do
you
you have to
roll
do
for it,
anything with
right? Or do you just use it?
I think I just use it.
It is. Sense is wit plus.
Either occult or technology.
I can do wits and occult.
Let's do this.
Only
I'm going
best.
to read the description of the ability from the book, unless you would like.
Sense is wits occult, yes.
All right, one moment.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna use willpower on some of those to re-roll some of those.
Sense the unnatural. By holding an object of focus, the hunter is able to sense the presence of supernatural creatures within close vicinity, such as the same room. Every hunter experiences this differently, ranging from the smell of sulfur to a positive reading on their double V meter. It doesn't indicate who or what the creature is, only that it is close. While it's possible to pinpoint the source, through successive readings, the hunter is likely to attract attention while doing so. And you have a success.
A success, in spite of trying twice. In spite of the willpower.
Remind me of your creed.
Inquisitive?
That's going to apply here.
Oh, hell yes.
So you're going to add 1 dice for our current level of desperation.
Which is none. Unless things got weird since then, since we started.
Well, things are weird because you were very nearly attacked by a mummy. You're at 1 desperation and 1 danger.
So roll an extra d10?
Yes. And you may re-roll it as you've used willpower.
Don't roll a 1.
You've met my dice luck.
Yeah, I know.
Please roll a 1.
Okay, it's fine.
I didn't roll a
Not a
1.
one.
It is a 5.
And your
I am
willpower.
re-rolling. There we go, 1 success.
Cool.
So two successes.
On 2 successes and a little bit of just good sense, this is unfamiliar to you. And what does it feel like as Aelin tries to reach out in the way that she makes people think she does all the time? What does it feel like and look like?
The other 2 have seen me in performance, and where that is very like big and dramatic and is very like over the top in a lot of ways. Aelin takes the fur or the fluff from Raven and just sort of like looks around like almost embarrassed and like it's very mundane what she does. She just like she holds it, she moves it in her fingers, she smells it a little bit, and like mutters in I don't know that either of you would speak this language, so just mutters in a language that an Eastern European language you might not understand. And it's all very, very like I said, it's all very mundane. Look like, but also feels very old, like the way your grandparents would like their knees would tell them that the weather is changing. And she sort of like feels it that way as well, or her like joint, her aged hand, the one, she cracks the knuckles on that hand as she like messes with this thing. It's very like unglamorous what she does here.
Question for my other two players. Are Raven and Echo superstitious?
Yes. To a degree, Raven is.
Not particularly. Like, beyond, like, you know, every thief has, like, their lucky set of gear. But, like, beyond that, no.
How superstitious is Raven?
Well, she always takes mementos of those that she's lost and holds them as part of her. That's why the feathers are in her hair and the necklace is around her neck. And she'll never leave without it, feeling that if she does, she's leaving them behind. So,
A big
fairly
believer.
superstitious.
Yeah, a big believer in talismans.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you both get that vibe as Aelin mutters over this thing. With 2 successes, it ain't normal.
Well, it's not any kind of fur that we'd recognize. That's about as far as I can get with it.
Says
The
a
guard
lot,
outside. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that just says a lot, though. How did something unnatural get here without being seen?
Your guess would be as good as mine. I barely work with. This is all new to me as well.
Well, presumably they would have to know the place inside and out. So either they'd spent quite a lot of time studying it, or I like to think that happens as the guard does whatever they were going to do.
The guards who were there that night are like reporting to Sergeant Vale. Mom, you wanted a word?
Yes, you two were on site the night that this took place, correct?
That is correct. Yes, Mom.
What position were you at? Right outside the door?
I was up the stairs there, and he points like up and around at the top of a landing, the only staircase with access to the vault door. Yes, and I was just in front of it. Yes, right here. And he like stands in front of the door.
So you were knocked unconscious, no one got by you. Explain the situation that night.
Right. Well, see, the thing is, it gets rather boring down here. Now, I'm not one to slack off my post. Never. Not ever, ma'am. Sometimes I talk to the fella upstairs. You know, we talk back and forth. And then, it's my fault, ma'am. I brought some cards, see, and I wanted to play a quick game. He's right good at cards, and we had a game. Well, it didn't take more than a few minutes, but yeah, when I came back down, things was all mixed up, and I didn't come down. I mean, I heard something, right? I heard some sound. Sounded like a hissing, like yeah.
So you were gone for a couple of minutes, you heard some hissing, and you came down to see the vault door open. Jules gone.
I'm afraid so, ma'am. Yeah, that's more or less the right of it.
How accurate are you on the amount of time that you were gone from your post?
Let me check real quick. Let's go composure and leadership.
Composure and leadership?
If you have leadership. Or
I do not, but that is 2 successes.
okay. Yeah, it was a few minutes. Maybe as many as 5.
And aside from the hissing, you heard nothing else.
No, ma'am.
Do you two have any other questions? She'll look back to Aelin and Echo.
Not for them, no.
You're
Although-
thinking.
I'm not hearing anything else when... I mean, it's pretty clear the vault door was forced open. It's odd. But then again, this whole thing is odd.
You didn't hear anything from the smash or anything like that?
No, man. Yeah, we thought it was weird too. I mean, that glass not supposed to break for nothing.
So-
Go ahead.
So it would take something of incredible strength to break it.
I suppose so.
Interesting.
The vault door is still intact. It was just forced open, yeah?
Not entirely. Given what they've said, give me another investigation check. And I'm realizing that your creed should be applying to this as well. You're specifically investigating a theft.
Oh boy. Sure, I'll roll some desperation dice on this. 2.
All right. Yeah, the door was... There's kind of two schools of thought when it comes to getting through something like this. On the one hand, your method. Understand the internal mechanics, apply the correct tools, occasionally just pick it. Then there's the more direct approach, which usually involves some form of explosive. Obviously, there's a third school of thought, which is talk your way in, either steal the password, the code, or convince someone to let you in and then pull a gun on them once you're inside. But that's not really thieving in the way that you do it. You wouldn't count them as burglars.
No, that's more extortion.
Yeah. This, it wasn't picked, nor was it overpowered, now that you know that's a potential possibility. It looks closer to blasted, but as you're going over the parts where someone would need to blast, there's no soot. Obviously, that would have been very loud. It looks like it's burned, like someone used a chemical approach, perhaps.
Oh, chemical. Okay. It almost looks like somebody used like an acid or something to burn through what's going on. Because it wasn't just forced open. That's probably what the hissing was.
Something burned its way inside with the compound, and on its way out, left mystery fur.
What if it's the other way around? They said they didn't hear any smashing. God, if someone is inside, can you hear the outside? Or vice versa? With the door closed?
Oh, I don't know, miss. There's not usually anyone inside when we close the door.
I go inside and close the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll push a couple people outside.
Strength checks. Strength and athletics.
To force the door closed.
I
Yes.
try to close the door.
Cool, strength and athletics, please.
I will help try to close the door.
Same.
Oh, hey.
Cool. Aelin and Echo put their backs into it and start to move it, and then Raven comes over and just throws a shoulder at it and does it for you.
Thank Christ, it's fine. Once Lord Boreal gets back to me with all the things I asked for, I'll be able to figure things out better.
One of us should be on the other side so we can check and see what you can hear.
Yeah, who's in and who's out?
Well, considering I slammed it, I would be on the outside.
Yeah, I assume Aelin was the one inside.
Yes, I would 1,000% lock myself in the room.
Cool. What then?
I guess I start yelling. Can you hear me?
Wits and awareness. Echo and Raven.
Oh, wits and awareness.
Not even a little bit.
If you don't want me to take any of the jewels that are still in here, say something.
Silence.
Is there anything around?
Can you hear her?
I cannot hear her at all. We should probably open up the vault again before she suffocates.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, as she's starting to look around is when they open the door.
Actually,
a-
before they
Yeah.
before
I was
they
going to say
do,
wits and larceny if you want to try and steal some jewelry.
I'm giving a really hard look at my skill set really fast.
Yep.
I'm not going to steal jewelry while I'm investigating.
Okay.
With the door closed, is it darker in here? Like, how easy is it to move around and see?
I'm going to say kind of an old vault, pitch black. Can't see your hand an inch in front of your face.
All right, that's something. Yeah, when they open the door again,
Cool. Strength plus athletic, please.
Sure.
Hopefully you're not locked in.
wild way to end this game early.
Just as helpful as I was before.
Just as helpful as before.
Cool. Aelin?
Oh, you want my help?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have no way of signaling that.
Just as helpful as it was before. Less helpful, actually.
Cool. Well, my threshold in mind was 5.
We're just locked in the... No, we're good.
No, we
No,
can
we're
make
good. We're
You
good.
push
We're
it
good.
open.
Good.
Basically, the two of you
Oh.
outside wait like 15 seconds and then start pulling. And when Aelin puts into it, the door opens just a crack.
Not only is, I assume, is it impossible for you to hear anything, which would imply that the guard might be misremembering. It's pitch black in here.
Well, the guard would only be misremembering if the thing that he heard happened on the inside, while the door was closed.
Oh, of course.
The guard only indicated that he heard the hissing, not smashing. You would have definitely heard that smash. It's not that far up the stairs.
The door,
So-
however, is heavy.
Very.
Well, it's entirely possible that, as has been mentioned, that glass isn't supposed to break, so something very strong did this. It's possible. The marks, like the burn marks and score marks, are on the outside of the vault door?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So, most likely what happens is that whoever did this came through that vent, or otherwise had some way of getting past the guards on the stairs. They burned their way in through the door to be able to open it. They opened it. They closed it on their way in. They had some way of being able to see in there. They broke the glass, took the jewels, and then just did everything in reverse.
Go ahead.
No, I have no other choice than to believe it, but it feels absurd.
I'm going to have Echo make me a wits and stealth roll.
Okay. Okay, wits and stealth. 3.
You are, if you're being modest, really good at burglary. This kind of breaking and entering.
Yeah.
Now, you can take a couple of minutes. You can poke around these vents. You can see where the guards go and loosely what they do. And I think with that time, you determine 2 things. It's technically possible, would have required a pretty significant amount of skill, which limits the number of people could have pulled this off.
Yep. What else is interesting is that it seems like there couldn't have been too many people. If people is even what we're dealing with, which I don't think it is. 2, maybe 3?
So if we go off the basis that they closed the vault to smash, and then what? Just leave out the same way and under 5 minutes?
It's not impossible.
Fair.
It just means that they really knew what they were doing.
Has anything new been brought into the vault
No.
prior to the incident?
No, not for quite some time, no.
That rules out anything hiding. I'd say that would be the most logical conclusion then. As
Which is-
unheard of as that is.
An insane thing to say, considering what I just proposed is what happened.
With what we've seen recently, I'm not throwing anything out the window.
Anything else you guys would like to do here in the vault?
We were told they were missing jewels. What specifically is missing?
The crown and the scepter.
Oh, shit. Okay.
The crown jewels.
Right. This is so deeply not my department.
crown, scepters, orb, the ornate symbols of royal power.
Hesitantly, Raven would look over at Echo. If one was to come across these items, do you know anyone in the city that would be willing to buy said items?
There isn't a fence in the goddamned world that would be willing to buy that shit.
You don't just steal the crown jewel.
Can confirm that is absolutely the case.
Why else would anyone do this?
Before we talk any further,
no.
Raven's going to look at the two gods. You're dismissed. You can return to your post upstairs.
Of course, Mom. Let us know if you need anything.
Now that they're gone, the Queen did say that the jewels are tied in some way to some power, potentially. So maybe there's more to them than just being expensive.
So what are the
Perhaps, but then
odds?
we'd need to find.
What are the odds that this cult is tied to King Ramses, and King Ramses is trying to take over the British Empire?
I would say turnabout is fair play.
Considering what is in the British Museum, that's honestly fair.
Just a quick note, Raven. That was deeply treasonous.
Good thing there was no one else around to hear.
No, I'm saying what Aelin just said about turnabout.
Yeah.
I'm honestly mostly speaking for Echo.
Okay, fair. Just saying.
Oh no, it was deeply treasonous. I'm a bitch.
Yeah, it was
It was, absolutely.
very, very deeply treasonous.
Yeah, but I'm cute, so I can say whatever I want.
Aside from the treasonous remarks, it's a valid point. Potentially. I don't know much about the histories, let alone some ram from long ago.
A king is trying to. All right, if we are going to follow this logic, an ancient king from beyond the grave is trying to take over the British Empire using the crown jewels. It sounds insane.
Your fiancé almost got killed by a mummy that was dead not 10 seconds before yesteray.
That could have been
vomited
anything.
sand that aged literally your hand. Which, by the way, how is your hand doing?
Aelin is wearing a glove on her hand, but you can see that it's like the satin on it is like stained because she has slathered it in like moisture and like oil before she put the glove on. It will be fine.
It was not fine.
God, is that you?
How
So,
old is my hand now?
That's a really good question.
We did not roll for that.
Wild. This is one of those like you can tell a lady's age based on her hands. It's like
21 extra years.
Oof.
a 42-year-old hand. I've just made up how old Aelin is.
Great. Awesome.
Wild. I don't know that it looks that bad. It does look older.
Yeah, it's like noticeable, but probably not terrible.
It's heavily moisturized.
You'd have to have them next to each other before it became really obvious.
I can't think of anything else to do here.
Neither can I, but take...
Not without going through the entire ventilation system, which I don't feel like doing.
Can a person fit in there?
If try hard enough, a person can fit damn near anywhere.
Aelin looks at Echo and, yeah, okay.
Echo, you could fit in there.
Do we know where the vent goes?
I'm going to say, as part of that, like, stealth investigation check, you can roughly trace a couple of routes that would bypass guard blind spots. And again, with skill and silence and the appropriate use of cover and ventilation, it is doable.
Echo sprinting through her mind palace, which is just a recreation of the Bank of London. It's like, yeah, there are a few places you could get in. You'd be able to get around guards. Yeah. We might be able to find more if we go to those places. But
I was just
that's
about to
assuming-
ask, and this is... I can't believe I'm asking this. If you were going to break in and steal the crown jewels, what would be your entry point? Using this vent.
You asked that like I've thought about that before. Anyway.
Have you not?
You broke into the Bank of London!
I met you literally yesterday, and I believe this of you.
I'm sorry. I wasn't overhearing, but you shouted something about the Bank of London? Is everything all right down here?
Everything's wonderful. Go
Everything's
back to your
fine.
post.
Respectfully, ma'am, I don't take orders from you. Looks
Back
it.
to your post.
Absolutely, Sergeant.
I don't think I'll ever get used to that.
Neither will I.
Regardless, I'm not answering that question. Anyway, if I had to break into this place, what would be, by Echo's best estimate, a good entry point?
I'm gonna have you roll a straight stealth check, which is, I believe, Dex.
Dex stealth?
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that.
And you're gonna add your desperation.
All right. 4.
4. As you're going through with the freedom to walk around and like consider, there's a couple of things to think about. How much did this thief know about the interior when they began their infiltration? Because there's a couple of spots that look good, but are heavily guarded. I think on a 4, you determined that you would have fucked this up your first time. If you had gone with the common sense approach and like, you know, that window, hide here, move there, wait for this guy, they'd have caught you. But with a little more effort and a little more observation, you're like, okay, no. You go this way, you use this window, you get in this vent, you stay there for a little while, then you get this other vent and go down and through past these guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So she would lay that all out for Raven and Aelin.
Cool.
That's...
Also,
Go ahead.
let's just have everybody give me one last wits and awareness roll. 2, 2, and 2.
4.
No, 4. On that 4, you clock one more thing. This route, this path that this thief took, apparently involved at one point a little bit of jostling, because right outside a vent that would have been removed and then slipped into are a few like scorch marks. Tiny, smaller than a bottle cap, but they got a smell to them. An acrid smell. You think whoever burned their way into that vault spilled a little bit of whatever that was on their way into this vent. Maybe, with this floorboard and an expert and some luck, you could figure out where they got it.
Can we take the floorboard?
God, I have an issue. I need assistance.
It's small.
I need this floorboard.
They look at you. They look at the floorboard. They look at each other. Not meaning to be rude, Mom. But are you ordering us to pull up this floorboard?
Yes, I am.
Understood. One of them gets out a knife.
All right, then.
And like a minute and a half later, you have a broken floorboard from the Tower of London. It predates all of you.
I forgot how much easier being important made things.
I guess we'll log that for later. I'm putting it with the fur in our evidence, and however we're storing evidence.
I was just thinking that. You move your mouse to the bottom of the screen, and the little thing pops up with all your items in it. A la Freddy Fish.
I am going point and click adventure with this. I'm about to rub this fur on everything until I find out what works with it.
For some reason, it unlocks this door.
You hold it to the guards, and they say, "I can't use that right now."
Right on. Heading back to your train depot, I think we're gonna do a little bit of outside investigation. This will be adjacent to our later downtime activities, in that you guys can basically come up with ways you would go about investigating this. And if they can be done in a scene, we'll do them in a scene. Otherwise, you'll make an appropriate roll, and we will roll for how long it takes, because things are on a timetable. The world moves. For example, you have 2 pieces of evidence. You have some potential information on your thief. Which of these leads would you pursue, and how would you go about pursuing them? You're like stationed around a table, looking at a map of the city with a bunch of little objective markers popping up on it.
We still need to see if the crown jewels are hard to fence, which means they aren't going anywhere, which means usual contacts for resale are not quite going to make it work.
And with what we know, I don't believe they're meaning to be resold.
I would like to focus on the cult then.
It's a very strong lead. And Her Majesty suspected them specifically by name.
All right, so Aylin's prioritizing the cult. You can do 1 each. Useful to your relevant skills.
I'll see if I can't figure out where that acid or whatever it was came from. I might be able to call on some people to at least find similar things and potentially trace it back from there.
And I can look into the fur. I'm quite adept with animals. And if this is an animal of some kind, there might be a family that I'm familiar with. And if not, I have some connections with those that train animals.
It's not in something that's a standard animal.
Do something more exotic then.
What, it's like a fucking werewolf or something?
If we rule out
Dawn's
the
on Raven that
other
it could be a
option.
werewolf.
It is possible. It is. I've never seen a werewolf. I'm not going to say it's a werewolf. It's we're being both skeptical and the person who can talk to the dead.
Mm-hmm.
With Raven's connection with animals and animal training, would she know that this is a wolf-like fur? Or not? Or a canine species?
Let's have you make intelligence plus science.
Oh, not animalkin? 1.
There are enough animal species that are being discovered in the world right now. Like, you can rule it out as an animal you've ever encountered before just by touching it. You're sure you've never held this in your hand. But knowing what kinds of animals are in the world in other places, well, you've been looking through a scope for a long time. Not a lot of time for reading in that. But there might be contacts who know.
I can't rule it out myself, but I may know a few people that could rule out that it's canine, I mean. Potentially. I really don't want it to be a werewolf.
That was supposed to be a fucking joke.
I literally blew the head off of a mummy yesterday. I'm not ruling anything out.
Real quick, let's get an intelligence plus academics roll from everybody.
Alright. Much more reasonable.
Academics plus intelligence?
Yep. Cool. Yes, you've all heard of a werewolf, mostly from like the Epic of Gilgamesh and Greek mythology. One shows up in Ovid's Metamorphoses. But to say that a pop culture werewolf is active on your brain, not as big a thing yet. Fun fact, werewolves and their current iteration were very much a film creation.
There might be something we have in that the Beast of Gévaudan, I think, is still something we might have heard of. It's a French werewolf.
Oh, there's definitely talk of them. They were included during the Crusades as a thing that should be killed if found. Except that there are a bunch of werewolves who are supposedly like an order of knights fighting for God.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird werewolf lore.
Yeah.
It's
Wolf person is certainly on the table.
wolf person is on the table, though we probably are not like out of character. In character, it's like we don't think of werewolf as like what we have today, but like we've heard animal person is like a thing that we could probably lean into. All right. Well, is that something you can look into, Raven?
Yes, I have people that handle exotic animals. I get in
Perhaps
touch
it's
with
just-
them.
Yes, perhaps it's just an exotic ferret that we're working with.
Or a lion, tiger, some sort of weird bear.
Oh my.
All right, let's get some downtime rolls. What specifically was Aelin going to do to try and look into this cult?
Hear me out. We're going to. I'm calling my manager because she's going to be able to sort of have a better excuse to like interact with the Toph. So I'd like to reach out to her and sort of have her inquire under the guise of like maybe scheduling another show.
Okay.
I'm not going to let her in on the whole thing. I do have to tell her something went terribly wrong last night.
So you're going to try and schedule... Excuse me. You're going to try and schedule another show.
We're not saying we're scheduling another show. We are like softly pitching that maybe like we could do more and have more engagements. If these people are, word gets out that there was some traction with this mummy, it's more likely members from this cult, I assume, are going to reach out to Aelin again, are going to want to work with Aelin again.
Okay, so you're looking for people looking for your services with a mummy because it seems like the bad guys are interested in mummies.
Yep.
Okay.
Or just the occult in general.
Cool. Yeah. Give the fame quality, right?
I do.
All right. I'm going to have you roll charisma plus persuasion, and I'm going to have you add your level in fame.
Like, how famous am I? Damn.
How famous are you?
I have 3 dots in fame.
Dear God.
Yeah. I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think both of you were like, you know who she is, and probably kind of knew who she was before she came to Britain.
In the most derogatory way, you have been hired to, like, investigate with Chris Angel.
Yeah, pretty much.
A little bit, yeah.
7 successes.
7 successes. If you're going to be good at one thing, make it being famous.
So good at this one stupid thing.
Okay.
Wild.
So if we need to infiltrate somewhere, you could be the distraction.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Have you not seen my charisma manipulation points?
So you call up your manager.
I majored in being hot.
Remind me of her name.
Molly.
Molly.
Molly Collins, manager and confidant. She
She's
came with me
staying-
from New York.
Yeah, she is staying in a single bedroom in a house with some nice folks, and she meets you on the step. Hey, doll, how you doing?
Molly. Have you heard anything about last night?
Aelin, have I heard anything about last night? Like, what haven't I heard? It's a wild story. People out here saying some crazy stuff. They're saying somebody got attacked, saying there was a fight of some kind, some rowdiness. Did you get rowdy?
Things may have gotten rowdy.
Well, if folks got rowdy, I could hire you a guy, you know. Say he's carrying your bags, and then somebody steps up, gets a little too much of makes a motion like she's drinking, and he'll just knock him right out. Problem solved.
I love Molly so much. No, that won't be necessary. I've been provided with someone. I was hoping.
Provided. Someone's providing for you now. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
I actually, well, I was going to say that I need to take a break, but I've explicitly asked you because I don't think I can.
All right. Well, hey, if we're still working, we can keep working.
Well, I do not know that I will have the time.
Or something going on.
This
What do
has
we
to be
mixed up in there?
secret.
Oh, it's a secret. Well, I've never had one of those before.
I know, that's why I'm pressing upon you that this is a secret.
She winks.
I am investigating part of the situation that happened last night. And to that end, it seems that there are some unsavory people who are interested in matters of the occult.
Oh. Crosses herself. Yeah, I can't never be too careful.
And so I had thought that maybe those who are interested in such things would also be interested in my work again.
All right. Yeah, I'll see what I can find you. Good to see you. Remember to eat something.
I'll
What
work on
happened?
it.
God, you're so skinny. Crazy. And she gets to work. Freya, or Raven,
Yes.
who are you going to talk to?
The person that trained Raven and animal handling, who before this time had not existed.
Fair enough. His name.
Oh, you're asking me.
No, I'm thinking of one. Let's just take me a
Okay.
second. Or you can. Up to you.
Feel free. I'm horrible at naming.
His name is Walter. He has been the Houndmaster for the Price family for 65 years. He is a weathered, wrinkled old man who nods as you approach. You found him to be strict, precise, and capable of incredible warmth. Miss.
Walter, I have a great favor to ask of you.
Right.
And she'll reach in and pull out the fur. There is a case that I'm working on that this was found at the scene, and it would help greatly if I could identify what species it's from, if possible.
Oh, let me see that.
She would hand it over.
Now I'm going to have you make, let's say, either wits or intelligence and animal can.
Okay. 3 successes.
3 successes. I think you spend the day, or most of it, with Walter, because he's got stuff to do. And when Walter's on a job, he doesn't really change jobs until the job is done. But as you tend to the beasts and this property, get your hands dirty, spend time with him, you're like also mulling over some of what's happened and this weird thing. And at the end of the night, when he holds the fur in his fingers, fluffs a little bit of into the wind and lets it carry away, hands you back the rest, and he says, "Not like anything I've seen. Not like anything I know. Don't know what it is, but you be careful." You are not surprised that what you have brought him is unnatural.
Thank you, Walter. It was nice seeing you again.
Always a pleasure. Echo,
Hello.
where are you going with this chunk of wood?
I have a contact who happens to be, they're more of an info broker, but when it comes to people that want to find things, generally a good person to go to. They don't have a name yet, because I forgot to name them.
This one's on you.
Give me 1 minute.
Nope, I got one, if you want it.
Oh, all right, go for it.
This is Sybil.
Sybil, okay. Yeah, I imagine... Go ahead.
Yeah. She is currently... I think she is where she always is in the early afternoon, which is gambling at a kind of a ritzy place. Like a bar and a club and a restaurant. And she's there with a dozen other people of various degrees of ne'er-do-well, like suspected gangsters type of folk.
All right.
And she's got her cards, and they've got their cards, and her stack of money's a little bit bigger than theirs.
Echo will wait until they're finished with their current hand before butting in.
There's a brief but intense stare down, and then the guy across the table, who's been twirling his mustache the whole time, stops, looks at his hand, realizes he's been doing it, curls his lip, throws down his cards, and says, "Fine, I'll fold," and pushes a bunch of fair amount of money across the table.
All right. Yeah, Echo will take that chance to kind of step forward. Sybil, I had something I'd like to talk to you about. If you can take the time from your work.
Yeah, come on, sit down. I heard you was locked up.
Not anymore.
Good on you. You looking for work?
Not this time. I'm actually here to ask about people who might have been looking for work previously. Or, more accurately, a thing they might have been after.
Oh, you're not a copper now, are you?
Not exactly, no. I just, it's important to know when our fellows are in over their heads.
Out of character, do you consider this deceptive? You are technically the employee of the government.
I don't think she's necessarily being deceptive. She definitely does view it more as, oh, these people are idiots, they robbed the royal family.
Okay, cool.
And she needs to make sure those people are not associated with her. And, don't put ideas into other people's heads, because that's how problems start.
Okay. Give me a roll of charisma plus streetwise.
Okay, that I can do for you. 5.
On 5 successes, Sybil invites you to sit down, play a couple hands of cards. After maybe an hour drinking and chatting, you come back to the subject of business, which is a little bit because you're doing well and she kind of wants you to leave the table. So what specifically now? You got something specific?
Yeah, looking for... she'll kind of take out the chunk of wood. Looking for an asset that can eat away at some pretty heavy-duty metal. Not enough to completely destroy it, but enough to at least weaken it enough that something can be done.
Takes the piece of wood, sniffs it, licks it. Oh, why, that's interesting. Where'd you get this? Never mind. I don't want to know. Not many folks in this town would brew that kind of thing. I'll give you an address. It's expensive wood, yeah?
Fairly, yes.
Right. Whoever they robbed. Yeah, it seems like they may be in over their heads.
Alright, well, I appreciate it.
Good on you, kid. Good luck.
You know how this works. I owe you a favor now.
How about that stack of cash there? I'll take that for now.
That'll work.
Reaches over, grabs your pile, pulls it back, and with a fresh piece of info each and some directions to investigate, we will call that an end to the session.